So, Your Honor, today the state's asking for the maximum possible sentence, which is 8 to 20 years in the Nevada Department. And that's because this case boils down to one thing, which is decision. What occurred on May 2nd, 2025 at 11:25 a.m. was a fatal collision that devastated a family, devastated a high school. What it was not was an accident. There was nothing accidental about what happened that morning. It was a foreseeable cause of a string of bad decisions that now, that morning, McKenzie Scott, a senior at Arbor View High School, was preparing to graduate. That was the next step in her life. It was a time of celebration for the high school because the high school was celebrating another graduating class of seniors. Another class who was ready to take that next step in their lives. That morning, McKenzie was scheduled to practice her graduation ceremony walk. The only things that she needed were her cap and gown from her car. Her car was parked across the street from the school of Buffalo in a neighborhood. When she went, she had to cross a crosswalk. And in the you can see that McKenzie as she steps into the crosswalk, she's not on her phone. She's not, looking around aloof to her surroundings. She's paying attention to what's going on. And if you watch the video, Your Honor, when she steps into the crosswalk, there's not a single car in front. And that video shows hundreds of feet down Buffalo, way past the entrance to the school. There are no cars anywhere near McKenzie. Now, she was unable to make it to safety. She was unable to make it to the median. The defendant, speeding, sped through that crosswalk, didn't brake, and when she was literal feet away from the median, he hit and caused impede the defendant's vision. There's nothing blocking him from seeing McKenzie crossing the street. Now, to say the defendant was drunk that morning is a severe understatement. Times the legal limit. His first alcohol came back at a .259. His second blood alcohol came back at a .247. Not only was he driving wasted, but he was speeding. If you watch the video, you can just tell by watching the video that his car is going significantly faster than any other vehicle that's driving on Buffalo that day. Not only that, but when the defendant was interviewed by police, he told them he lives right around the corner. He said he lives about 5 minutes away from Arbor View High School. This is a Friday at 11:30 a.m. He knew, or should have known, that kids were present. He just didn't care. Now, when police went through his vehicle, they found an empty bottle of bourbon whiskey. Not only that, but when he undertook his field sobriety tests, he failed every single one. On the horizontal and the vertical gaze and nystagmus test, he exhibited 6 clues of impairment. On the walk and turn test, 2 clues of impairment. On the one-leg stand test, he couldn't follow Officer Gomez's directions, and he showed several clues of impairment. He was so impaired, Your Honor, that he couldn't stand up straight. And when Officer Gomez asked him, hey, do you know where you are? Despite living in that neighborhood, he couldn't tell him the street that he was standing on. He was slurring his words, he had bloodshot, watery eyes, and he reeked of alcohol. Your Honor, this was a tragedy. This was a devastating collision that killed a teenage girl. But this was not. This was a foreseeable consequence of a string of bad decisions that the defendant made that day. It was his decision to drive drunk. It was his decision to drive in Buffalo. He had the keys. It was his choice. It was his decisions that caused the death of McKenzie Scott, that killed a teenage girl about to graduate from high school, that killed a teenage girl with her whole life ahead of her. This was not an accident. It was a result of the defendant's decisions. And with that, I'll turn it over to my co-counsel, Tracy Evans.
And Your Honor, you heard a lot about the factual circumstances of what happened, what the defendant did. But from McKenzie's standpoint, McKenzie was a senior at Arbor View High School. On May 2nd, 2025, she was less than a month away from graduation. On May 2nd, 2025, McKenzie was 53 days from her 19th birthday to start a new life at UNLV. McKenzie did everything right that day. Through testimony, investigation, and witness statements, we know McKenzie waited at the crosswalk. She used a marked crosswalk. She waited for cars to pass before she started crossing. We know she wasn't looking at her phone, and we know she didn't have any earbuds in her ear. She was fully paying attention and doing her part right as a pedestrian. She waited. She was literally a few steps away from the median when this happened. It is because on May 2nd, 2025, the defendant, the series of choices he made that day, started from the decision to drive. The decision to drive and then drink. His choice to drink and drive. There were multiple stops at the bank and at getting coffee that he told the police that he could make those choices to not drive. But ultimately, he did, and it killed McKenzie Scott on May 2nd, 2025. State is aware that defendant has no prior record other than this arrest. But at the end of the day, it is about choices. We make choices every day, and we're responsible for the consequences after the choices we made. This happened in front of a high school. Mr. Taylor alluded to earlier is that it was a senior walk day where different students, including McKenzie herself, was crossing the street to get to their parked cars to get their cap and gown for the senior walk. One of the exhibits attached to this sentencing memo had shown some of the parked cars along the side of the road on Buffalo on both sides of the street. Defendant's conduct was dangerous, not only to the students, but to the community surrounding the school. And it was proven so because of the choices the defendant made that day. And that is why the state is asking for the 20-year maximum sentence. The charge is allowed. And to learn more about McKenzie, the state has 4 victim speakers from the family this afternoon. And under personal statute, we ask that the 4 of them be seated, and they will tell you more about McKenzie, Your Honor.
I have a question. I read in some of the reports was driving without a valid license. That can mean a number of things. anyone know what it actually means?
The state believes that he did not.
Status, but that would be obvious because of the reports. It talks about driver's license number, but then it says no driver's license, ID only. License at all the time. In his possession at the time.
State believes he did not have a valid license at the time because related to
Conduct.
I believe that was indicated
I'm
in
guessing
his
he probably knows.
Nevada pretrial risk assessment. I believe that was part of the indication.
Working at it.
Well, I said, he was struck. I understand. I'm not forgiving if I made it out to him. That it, I've been in the store for 23 hours a day, and I couldn't eat. I just like cried. I pray for the family all the time. I tell McKenzie I'm sorry all the time. Every time I'm ready to go to work. So I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I totally understand. I actions have consequences, and I have to face them. We have to come back to each other. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
Capture the magnitude of the loss. McKenzie Scott was a bright, beautiful young woman who was standing on the threshold of her adult life. She had dreams, plans, and people who loved her dearly. Nothing that happens in this courtroom can ever make up for what was taken from her. Kennan has accepted that he is the cause of this tragedy since it happened on May 2nd, 2025. On that day, Kennan did not run. He did not scene and cooperated fully with law enforcement. Some people flee the scene and try to get away with it. This is not Kennan. Avoid prison or evade punishment in any way. Prior to this, Kennan had never been in trouble before. He doesn't have a criminal or reckless history. By all accounts, Your Honor, from his family, his friends, his neighbors, he is a kind, hardworking, and honest man who made a catastrophic mistake. He is deeply remorseful and has repeatedly expressed this to us. As Your Honor heard from him today, he is genuinely sorry. Your Honor, there is no sentence that can ever make things right again. But we ask that he is sentenced with consideration for not only the worst thing that he has ever done, but also in light of the life he lived before and the life he can still live after. He will spend years in custody reflecting, and we hope finding some way to honor McKenzie's memory by helping others to understand the cost of drunk driving. Today, he does not stand before this court seeking to avoid punishment. He knows that he must face the consequences of what he's done with time in prison, and he's prepared to do so, Your Honor. We simply ask that this court recognize his humanity, that this was not an act of malice, but of terrible, terrible judgment. We ask that the court impose a sentence that is just, that acknowledges the enormity of this loss, and that still leaves room for redemption, because even in our justice system, compassion has a place. We ask that the court sentence Kennan to 6 to 15 years in the Nevada Department of Corrections. Thank you, Your Honor.
State calls Tanya Reynolds. This is McKenzie's aunt, and we have made a contact with defense. Defense does not object.
Hello, Your Honor, my name is I'm McKenzie Scott. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak about McKenzie. It's very important to me. McKenzie was the best person I ever known. She was kind and thoughtful. She never had a word to say about anyone. McKenzie was just starting to blossom and find her own path in life. I wish we were able to see the person that she would become. The loss of McKenzie is beyond words. The whole world feels empty and meaningless now. I feel as though my own light has burned out, and I am a sad, hollow shell of who I once was. I still cannot comprehend how such a wonderful person can be taken away from us like this. We needed more people like McKenzie, not less. That day the world got a little bit darker, and I know I will never be the same.
Calls Donna for rape. Mackenzie's maternal grandmother.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please state your name and spell your first and last name for the record.
Donna, D-O-N-N-A, Murray, M-U-R-R.
So, my name is Jonathan, and I'm Mackenzie's maternal. Today I'm here to tell you what a great and hopeful person Mackenzie was. She was very kind, considerate, and never mean. I never saw her be mean, ever, to her own life. Not like some. Always had a smile on her face. She was so excited about graduating high school. I'm looking forward to the next chapter. Going to UW studies become the crime scene investigator. She definitely would have made a good one. And myself would do things that there were no places. We miss her so much. I've never seen it broken. I didn't broken on it. Sorry, my soul is empty, and I'm never gonna be the same person. But now my happiness has turned to sorrow. All because, sorry, but that selfish, drunk trash got in a car and hauled it down the road, not caring or knowing about anything, and hit Mackenzie with the car and took her out of the school. She was unable to do anything she dreamed of. So please, Your Honor, with this guy, the most years plus more, Mackenzie isn't here to be free and enjoy life. So why should we be able to? Thank you for listening. We should all be here. It's bad.
Thank you. I'm sorry for your loss.
New York State calls Eric Scott. Maternal grandmother.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please state your name and last name for the record.
Eric J. R-I-C, last name S-C-O-T-T.
Thank you.
I got it drawn on, Kennedy's maternal grandfather. And, I have a strong faith in the power of the atonement of Jesus Christ. I believe that he suffered for all of our pains, and that he will make up the difference. I'm still struggling. Kenzie was my oldest granddaughter. I had precious memories of her sitting on my lap, reading her stories and having her tell me her stories. One of my favorite memories is of her playing in her dad's pickup, playing hide and seek, jumping up and down as a 1-year-old. I remember all the good things that she did. She was a kind young woman. She won kindness awards at school. I'm sorry. There was no preparing for this. I thought I was prepared. As far as the impact on me and my family, this tragedy deprived me of the earthly association with my granddaughter. I will miss her a lot. Will not be able to watch her drive in her college career. Will not be able to attend her graduation or her wedding, or see great-grandchildren and hold them on our lap. I know this tragedy is affecting more of my family. I feel for the Jackson family. I appreciate so much that Kennan would stop when he knew something was wrong, or that he was willing to plead guilty and not put us and many others through the pain of a long trial. There is some good in him. But I do believe in the government of the United States and of our court system, and I recognize the authority to enact the laws of the state of Nevada, and I would ask that he be given the appropriate punishment appropriate to his crime, and that in that doing that will help him and his family to get through this. I know that she is doing a lot more in heaven than she would be doing here for the good of mankind. She's now with her father. She's now with her grandparents and uncles and aunts. And just doing great things. And I know that I will see her in the coming day. And I'll be able to embrace her and talk to her in person, laugh and cry with her, and enjoy her love and her warmth. And I'll do my best to be patient until then. I'm sorry.
Your state calls Tiffany Reynolds, McKenzie's mother.
nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and spell your first and last name for the record.
I am Tiffany Reynolds, Tiffany, Reynolds, and I am McKenzie Scott. Good afternoon, Your Honor. Thank you for giving me the opportunity today to speak. I'm Tiffany Reynolds, McKenzie Scott's mom. She was my only daughter and the oldest of my 2 children. Your children aren't supposed to die before you. They're definitely not supposed to be ripped from your life suddenly because another human decided to make poor decisions. Decisions that led them to being intoxicated and behind the wheel of a car they had no business driving because they had no valid driver's license. Kennan Jackson hit my kid so hard that it knocked her out of her shoes. I know this because I was handed her torn up backpack at the hospital, and inside of it was her one Converse shoe. A witness had picked it up off of the street and thrown it in her backpack, and the principal had given it to me. That's why I got it. Anyhow, on Friday the 2nd, I stood next to my daughter's mangled, lifeless body and held her hand as I watched the ER doctor at UMC call time of death on her. McKenzie Scott, time of death 12:23 p.m. This was the simplest death that didn't have to happen. Unfortunately, our families face multiple challenges in life, so Mackenzie's childhood was not always an easy one, and she endured more hardships than most. But in 2019, she and I watched her dad, Jeffrey Scott, die of a heart attack in my son's room. We spent 5 years after he died destroyed, lost, struggling in our grief, and carrying each other through the hell our life had become. We had just barely started to live again in 2024. We had just finally started to rebuild a life without my husband in it. Now my son and I have to somehow rebuild another new life without Mackenzie in it. The summer of 2024, after her junior year, Mackenzie became determined to live an exceptional existence and create the life she wanted for herself in adulthood. She decided to pursue a career in law enforcement as a crime scene investigator. She wanted to help people find justice and closure during the worst moments of their lives. She applied and earned multiple scholarships so she could afford to go to UNLV, majoring in cellular and molecular biology and minoring in criminal justice. She was excited, hopeful, and living her best life by the end of her senior. Then along came drunk driver Kennan Jackson. He shattered all her dreams, destroyed her future, and cut her life short with his selfish, reckless actions. When Mackenzie died, a part of me died with her. I am left broken, spiritually, mentally, and physically. The pain of losing her is unbearable. The grief I am experiencing is like no other. I have had a friend get murdered, my dad die, and my husband die in front of me, and none of those deaths compare to the horror that I feel every day since the death of Mackenzie. I can't sleep, I can't work, I can't think, I can't function, I can barely leave my house. This is embarrassing, but I've had to be put on multiple medications to prevent me from having a nervous breakdown. I have endured so much pain throughout my life, but never had I ever needed medication to try to cope and survive it until now. The rest of my life is forever destroyed because Mackenzie is not here. I miss her every moment of every day. Kennan Jackson ruined my life and my son's life. Mackenzie was not only his sister, she was his best friend. She was my best friend. Kennan Jackson stole her from us, destroyed our whole family, and destroyed all of our lives. I read in the newspaper that Mr. Jackson might have been drinking again because his mother died. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but my condolences to you for your loss. Life is full of trauma, heartbreak, loss, and problems for everyone. Our family has been through a lot. Mackenzie had been through a lot. You know what we didn't do though? We didn't use our hardships as excuses or justifications or reasons for endangering the lives of other people. We didn't go out getting drunk and cruising around town. We didn't go out and kill people. I know that he didn't mean for all of this to happen. And I know that he's sorry. But his apologies will never be enough. Our family believes in justice. You do something wrong and you have to pay for that accordingly. I think everyone here can agree that in situations like these, there is no true justice because nothing will bring McKenzie back. We all lost a great human being who was going to put so much good back into the world. Kennan Jackson needs to use his time in prison to battle his demons, to learn to fight his addictions, and to come out ready to spread good back into the world because McKenzie's not here to do it. He owes it to McKenzie, to our family, to his daughter and his family, and to our community. McKenzie was the best person I knew. She was kind-hearted, intelligent, and wise beyond her years. She went out of her way to help anyone she could. She loved animals and bugs, science and nature, drawing, playing video games, and watching anime. She dedicated her time and attention to helping people and animals. She was like a second mom to her brother, my son Kason. They were best friends. In a school writing assignment, McKenzie was asked to answer this question. If you were given 3 wishes, what would you wish for and why? She answered with the following statement. If I had 3 wishes, I would wish to end world hunger, provide safe and comfortable shelter for everyone, and would put a worldwide ban on any drugs and alcohol. Assuming there are no monkey paws rules, I think this combination of wishes would bring the most peace into the world. People struggle all over the world due to hunger, homelessness, unsafe living conditions, and addiction. Without these problems, life would be a lot simpler. Many people would have much better lives if they didn't have to overcome these struggles. Going through these things changes people, causing them to add to previous problems. This cycle has gone on since the beginning of time, and I'd like to think that without it, everyone on earth would be much happier. End quote. That's the finish of her answer. Her answer to that question shows you truly the kind of human being McKenzie was. She truly was an inspiration to us all, a light in the dark. The world lost a really great human being the day Kennan Jackson killed her. My son Kason is 12 years old. Losing McKenzie shattered him. She was his only sibling. They were best friends. They spent all their free time together. They had such a strong, special bond. Now he feels lost, alone, and depressed or angry all the time. He has nightmares. He had to start online school at home since McKenzie was killed at her school. He can't concentrate. He's destroyed. The rest of his childhood is ruined. He has to spend his lifetime learning how to carry the loss and pain from McKenzie dying. The world is now a dark place with bad people in it to him. He was unable to find the words to write his impact statement. So rather than do that, he actually wanted me to have you take a look at these picture arrays. I don't know if I can approach the bench or if you would prefer to take it over to her, which is okay. He wants you to know that McKenzie was the best person in the world and his best friend. Rather than tell you how great she was, he thought it would be better for you to see how great she was, which is why I brought this for you to take a look at. You can see that she's dressed as Dexter because he's a taxi investigator. The moments and memories of McKenzie's life. Ones we will cherish because we can no longer make any more memories with her. Thank you for taking the time to look at it in case and thanks you as well. Your Honor, I know that, I promise I'm almost done. Your Honor, I know that you have to work within the parameters of our state laws, which in my opinion are not harsh enough for penalties involving crimes, enough penalties for crimes involving drugs and alcohol, DUIs, deaths, etc. As my late husband used to say, the world would be a better place if we all just did the right thing. I hope and pray that you do the right thing for McKenzie today by giving Mr. Jackson the maximum sentence the law allows, because you're going to need that 8 years to become a better person. You're going to need that 8 years to battle whatever you got to battle so you can come out the man that your daughter needs you to be. You still have time. You still have a chance to live your life. It's not over. Don't go in there and let that prison put a chip on your shoulder. And don't let it make you an angrier person. I pray that for you. I've been praying for you. I've been praying for your family. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. Thank you for your service to our community and your dedication to the justice system.
Thank you, Madam President. I've struggled with this, guys, for the obvious reasons. On the one hand, as Brent was saying, you did use faith, and you basically played straight up, and you didn't put them through anymore. But then I read the reports, and then I go back to 3 times the legal limit. Generally, you don't get there unless you're addicted and you drink it full time. And I say this all the time. I understand addiction and I'm sympathetic, but I don't understand. Stay home. Drink yourself into a coma, stay home. Especially when you don't even have a driver's license. You should not even be on our roads in the first instance, let alone 3 times the legal limit, 11:30 on a Friday morning in front of a school on a crosswalk. You had the sense initially when you were asked about drinking to say you hadn't been. So there was a part of you that knew what was right and what was wrong, and you did wrong. And I watched the video. I have no words. And so, on the one hand, giving you credit, on the other, there is no credit. And I honestly, I think part of you knows that and doesn't even expect it. I do think you're sorry. But at the end of the day, all things considered, in accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court is now sentencing in addition to $25 administrative assessment, $150 DNA fee, $3 DNA administrative assessment, $250 indigent defense fee. The restitution is set forth by the state and agreed to by the defense. The mandatory fine of $2,000, 8 to 20 years in the Nevada Department of Corrections. You will be ordered to have an interlock device installed on any motor vehicle at your expense following any release. I don't know if it's necessary, order that you eligible for treatment under the 184 treatment program at the prison or any other programs that help to treat your addiction. Credit?
193 days, Your Honor.
It will be 193 days credit.
And your lock device, can you specify the amount of time? It's anywhere between 12 to 36 months.
36.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else?
That'll be all. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Your Honor.